Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to learn about virtual tools to engage students, families, and partners. We will keep everyone muted since we do have a large group, but feel free to include any questions you may have throughout the session in the chat, and we'll try and get to your questions. Also, feel free to activate your camera if you'd like so we can put a face to a name. And thanks for joining us here today, my colleague Anna and I. So before we begin, we want to gauge where everyone is joining us from and get to know you all just a bit. So please type in the chat your organization or school, what town you're joining us from, and we'll include something fun, a popular restaurant in your town. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to go ahead and insert that in the chat. While you guys are doing that, I'll quickly mention one of my favorite restaurants from where I'm joining from, which is Deerfield, ISAC's headquarters. So one of my favorite restaurants close to the office is Portillo's. So anyone in the Chicagoland area knows about Portillo's. It's a really great burger spot. Just wondering where everyone's joining us from. And so we have Natasha Schultz from Marengo Community High School in Marengo, Illinois. I enjoy Cafe 20. Woo, go Marengo. I see someone's from Glenview, Illinois, which is close to Deerfield. Jessica Hayes from Alignment Rockford, Woodfire Pizza. Ooh, that sounds good. Mitch from United Way of Central Illinois, from Springfield, Illinois. Eat Horseshoes at Darcy's Pint. I have gone to Darcy's Pint in Springfield. It is a really good spot. Really good spot. Waukegan to College. We have Daisy Hernandez from Waukegan to College in Waukegan, Illinois. One of the office favorites is Papa Marco's. Well, definitely. I'm not too far from there, so have to check them out. I'm always interested in like all these great restaurants all over the state and where everyone is joining us from. It looks like we have people from Central, Northern, Southern Illinois, Peoria. Oh, this is awesome. This is great. Oh, this is great.
I see a lot of Texas Roadhouse, so that might be a place.
Texas Roadhouse is really good. I agree. Oh, that's great. Okay, so just for the sake of time, I'm going to keep moving along. I'll pass it on to Anna to start us off with the agenda.
So thank you everyone for sharing. It's always fun hearing about the different places, especially when we go back to traveling. So for today's agenda, we're going to be going through, we broke it up into two sections. The first section is going to be how we're engaging virtually with communities, so with professionals. We're going to be going through our training opportunities, any ISAC-led conference that not only are we leading it, but also involved in. And then technology of participation top workshops. If you guys have not heard of it, it's something that we're very big on here at ISAC and we love so much. So if you guys haven't heard of it, we hope this is the first time that you hear about it and that you gain some interest for it as well. Then we're going to be going into engaging virtually with students and parents. These are going to be tools specifically for students. So the first half is everything that you as professionals can engage with. The second part of this is going to be everything that is available for the students specifically. First, we're going to be going through our ISAC Student Portal Toolbox and how the multiple ways that you guys can use this, even if you guys are not in person, how you're able to use them virtually. Then we're going to be going into the ISAC Core. If you guys are not familiar with the ISAC Core, that is something that, again, I want you guys to learn more about and that you guys are hopefully really excited because that is one of our greatest resources for students here at ISAC. And then we're going to be going into the Student Portal college resources. And we're going to be doing an in-depth walkthrough of those resources just so that you guys could know how to work with those resources and bring them to your students. And then lastly, other ISAC virtual initiatives. All right, that's it. All right, so to get into our virtual training opportunities, this is going to be everything available for the spring 2021. We have a variety of trainings that are going to be available for professionals, and this is going to be open to anyone who works with students. It doesn't specifically have to be someone that's working at a high school or at a high school. If you are joining us from a community-based organization or you are just an individual that gets to work with students outside of a school setting, these are all going to be available for you all. First, we have what's called the Financial Aid Certification Series. This is going to be a series that is based on 6 sessions where participants get to learn everything about the college going process and how to assist students with the college going process. Everything from financial aid to college applications to how to best support your students if they are of a certain special population. For this one, we do have our next one coming up. It's going to be April 12th through April 16th. It is about 1 session a day. And with it, after every session, there is an assessment that gets sent to the participant. And if you pass that assessment, that is where you earn that certification. You get to be financially certified by ISAC. Then we have what's called the post-secondary and career expectations, or PACE framework. That's what it's best known for. So we have a series of online trainings and offerings available. First, we have the PACE overview. The PACE overview is if you have never heard of PACE and you want to know the base, if you want to gain a basic understanding of what PACE is, and to get you started to know if you would be more interested in some of our other offerings so that you can better be equipped for PACE, the PACE overview is going to be a great option for you. That's going to be about a 1 hour webinar. Then we have the PACE implementation leader training. Once you know about PACE and you're just like, how do I get started with this training? How do I implement it? How do I get my team going? The PACE implementation leader training is going to be a great option for you. It's a 2 hour training. We get through everything from the background of PACE, what is PACE, all of the elements of PACE. Then we get into how to implement PACE. And then the best feature of it is that we get into all of the ISAC resources to help you support your PACE framework. We also have a series of PD, what's called the PD webinar series. This is going to be a series that's been happening since January, but it takes place every other Tuesday in the month. With this series, we cover all topics with with the college going process. This series, we are doing something special. We are doing scenario-based PD webinars where we get to test you guys out in your knowledge and how well you know certain topics. It's a great opportunity to know, like, do I really know this, or should I be asking questions about this? So for all of our training opportunities that we have available, we do offer continuing education credits and also professional development hours. If you want to check out our all of our training opportunities that we have on the screen, be sure to check out our ISAC website. And just as an FYI, throughout our entire presentation, if we're giving you a resource, at the bottom of the screen, we're also going to have the link as to where to access that. As you can see, for virtual training opportunities, we have isac.org/PD. Next. Then for our virtual conferences, we are involved and lead multiple conferences that have a wide variety of topics. The first one's going to be the College Changes Everything. It has been announced that it is going to be taking place virtually this year as well. And it's going to be the week of July 12th. The College Changes Everything is for those individuals who need or want to learn more about how to get some tools, get some information for your students' post-secondary success. Then we have the FAFSA Symposium. The dates for this, for the 2021 year, have not been announced yet, but we do have the recordings available for past FAFSA Symposium on our website. So the FAFSA Symposium, it is a one-day training, or a one-day opportunity, not a training, I'm sorry, a one-day opportunity where other professionals get to share like their best practices with FAFSA. You guys get to learn more about anything that ISAC is doing FAFSA related. And it's just a great opportunity overall to learn from one another, to know what are some things that are working, what are some things that are not working in regards to getting students to complete those financial aid applications. And then lastly, we are involved with the Sharing the Dream. This is going to come from IACAC. With the Sharing the Dream conference, it's a one-day conference. It is again going to be taking place virtually this year on May 19th, 2021, where you get to learn about how to work with undocumented students, best practices, and how to best support them through the post-secondary process. Jasmine, next.
Thank you. So Anna briefly talked about TAP methods, also known as technology of participation. So these methods come from the Institute of Cultural Affairs, which is an international organization that spreads these methods across the world. So TAP methods are facilitation methods that are applicable in any setting where groups need to make collective decisions or plans. Overall, these tools aim to help groups come to consensus on where they are, why they are there, where they would like to be, and what they would do together to help them get to where they need to go. The first TAP method is a focus conversation. So here a facilitator takes about an hour and a half with a group to facilitate meaningful exchanges meaningful exchanges of ideas to gain a broad and deeper understanding of a topic. So the process does help a group talk about difficult issues and reflect on a shared experience and decide what to do as a result. It uses 4 different levels of discussion questions, which includes objective, reflective, interpretive, and decisional, to ensure that every stage of processing information is thought through carefully and in detail so that one can come to a conclusion based on a wide range of information. The second top method that brings high levels of participation to the decision-making process is the consensus workshop method. So it helps a group integrate diverse opinions and perspectives into an agreement everyone can take ownership of and support by integrating everyone's voice. It also helps a group generate creative solutions using multiple perspectives to come to the best outcome. And the main goal here of a consensus workshop is to help a group learn from each other and work through conflict and achieve consensus. The last TAP method is the action planning workshop. So this is a method usually used to help plan a single event or project with a clear beginning and end. It presumes a broad prior agreement to move forward. So like the date, the goal of event, who's involved, and it works best for events that take a year or less of planning. Common uses of this workshop include developing a project plan, planning a community event, planning a conference, and more. These are some examples of how we have facilitated TAP method workshops with communities and the 60 by 25 network. So we have facilitated consensus workshop with middle school students through the GERA program on what might stop them from achieving their future goals, their career goals, just their life after high school. Also, the training team does facilitate PACE consensus workshops, like Anna mentioned before, and they focus on thinking about 8th to 12th grade. When should post-secondary and career expectation benchmarks be addressed in your students' post-secondary plan to help them make decisions about financial aid, career, and post-secondary education? Again, something that we can go in and help facilitate this PACE consensus workshop. With the 60 by 25 network, we facilitated a consensus workshop around what can we do to support the Illinois 60 by 25 network strategic focus areas. And we've used TAP methods even internally as well. There's so many different ways that one can use TAP methods to engage community partners and students and people from different with different perspectives. If you're interested in learning how ISI can help facilitate a TAP workshop for your school and organization, please feel free to send me an email. My email is right to Jasmine.Jetton-Gonzales at Illinois.gov. I will now pass it on to Anna to start us off with tools to use with students and families.
Thank you, Jasmine. So we are going to, the way we broke down the features that we're going to be talking about, first we're going to get into the toolbox. This is going to be the student portal toolbox. Then we're going to get into the ISAC core. And then lastly, Jasmine and I will split up into college resources. So with the toolbox, we're going to be going into financial aid, the financial aid game, internship and summer jobs opportunities, our college checklist, event calendar, our financial aid comparison worksheet, and then lastly, our map estimator. Jasmine, if you can take me to the next slide. So again, with getting into our toolbox, next slide. The features that we're going to be going into, we're going to be going in depth into some of this. So the financial aid game, internships and summer jobs again, college checklist, the PACE student checklist, our event calendar, financial aid comparison worksheet, and the map estimator. So if we can go to the next one. with the financial aid game, this is going to be a financial aid game that is available online. This is a great tool. It's one of my favorite tools to use even when we're in person. It's a Jeopardy style game that tests out the students' knowledge with financial aid. There are two levels to this, but just because that we have that ability, like if you guys are college going if you guys are working with students and you guys are working with them virtually and using Zoom or WebEx or whatever the platform you're using, you are more likely to be most likely to be able to use the sharing the screen feature. So even though we do like to use this game in person, virtually it is also an awesome tool to use with students. Again, it's a Jeopardy style game that tests out the students' knowledge. It does come in two levels. With the first level being a lot friendlier, we do suggest that it is used for those maybe eighth graders, middle schoolers. And then for the second one, the advanced financial aid being used for at least juniors and seniors. Freshmen and sophomores, you can use either one, depending on what your students' demographics are or where you think they are with their knowledge. But again, it is an awesome tool that can be transferred into using it online, and you can make a game out of it. Students really do love it, and they do get really competitive. So it is one of my favorite tools. Next. Then we have the internships and summer jobs. A lot of the work that we do with post-secondary has to do with students getting that experience with working and with careers. So our internships and summer jobs, these are going to be, this is sort of like a job board specifically for students, for high school students that shows them opportunities available as far as student friendly opportunities available for them, just so that they can get that exposure, so that they can get some experience. And again, this is just for students. So they can go on our website through student portal. And then when they check it out there, they can enter keywords on careers they might be interested in, jobs they might be interested in. And then they can enter their location as well, just so that they know that if there's anything available in their area, that they're able to apply for it. Once they're on this page, the page itself takes them to the actual application. So it's not like we're giving them the name of the job that's available and then they have to do additional research. It'll all be here on the internship and summer jobs. This is also a great opportunity for them to start getting familiar with the process of applying for jobs, and for them to get started with what are some of the things that employers are looking for. Next. Okay. And then we also have the college checklist. Here at ISEC, we love college checklists. I personally love checklists in general, but this is a great tool, especially if you are working with students that you are not having access to regularly. This is just for them to know things that they should be doing in order for them to be able to complete their college application process successfully and be able to get admitted to those colleges successfully. It is broken up from freshman all the way to senior year. So every year has its own checklist. This is, again, if they create a student portal account, this is something that they can keep track on it virtually. You don't need to give them a paper copy. It's something that they could do so virtually. And it'll give them a lot of items that they should be doing, breaking it up for them. So even, again, if you're not meeting with them regularly, they know what they should be doing. I think the most useful checklist, even if you don't get to share this out with students who are freshmen, juniors, or sophomores, I think the most useful one is going to be the senior checklist, because it does give them time sensitive items, and it gives them a realistic timeline as to when to complete these items by. For example, we know that the FAFSA, even though they do have a long time to complete the FAFSA, here in the state of Illinois, we want them to complete it as soon as possible, because the money does run out. So if they're eligible for MAB, that money does run out. So it gives them those items so that they know that they have to complete those items. Also, it lets them know that they have to complete those college applications, so that they are on track, completing them on time, so they don't end up, maybe if they had their heart set on a college, that they don't end up missing those deadlines. Next. Oh, Then we have the pay student checklist. Again, like I mentioned, we love checklists here, but this is going to be more to PACE related. So if you are working with a school or a district who are in the process of implementing a PACE framework, this checklist is going to be great for you guys. The checklist is written into student friendly language, so it takes everything from the actual PACE framework and it makes it student friendly. This is a great tool to give to the students. Again, we're not able to meet with them in person. A lot of you guys are not able to meet with them in person. So giving them a checklist, letting them know these are some of the things that you should be doing. Our other checklist is just college related, but as for those of you guys who are familiar with the PACE framework, you guys know that it is not just college related. We are breaching into everything post-secondary, trades, all of the options that they may have available. So this checklist is reflective of that, and not only is it a college checklist or involves items dealing with college, but it involves everything dealing with career, getting that exposure to career, things that they should be doing with the money, anything financially related. If they are going to be picking a trade, what does that entail? Picking that trade, and as far as money goes, and then lastly, college. If they are going to be choosing whatever they're going to be choosing, that they make sure that they are completing those applications. Next. And then the financial aid work comparison worksheet. This is going to be the most useful tool if you're going to be working with students who are choosing to go into college and who are in the process of comparing their financial aid offers. So as most of us know, financial aid offers, there is no template that schools follows. They get to choose their own language that they put on their financial aid offers. They get to choose their own items, not only their own language, but their own items. So oftentimes we are working with students and we're helping them make that important decision of where they want to attend, and a lot of it falls under the financials. Can they afford it? Can they not afford it? What's involved in their financial aid offer? So with the financial aid comparison worksheet, they are able to take all of the items from their financial aid offers, and it unifies the language so they know they are better equipped to compare what they are getting, what they're being offered. One of the greatest things too is when we're working with parents, oftentimes, and I can speak to this from experience, there are going to be parent plus loans that are going to be tremendous. They're going to be really big amounts, and oftentimes parents, they're willing to take that on for the student, not realizing that it's not only going to be the first year. If the student is committing to a 4-year institution and they're getting a really big parent plus loan, that's going to be a loan that they have to take for the next 4 years. This tools allows you to not only find and identify that there is a parent plus loan on there and it's not going to be a zero out of pocket cost, but there is a loan on there, but it also multiplies the loan by 4 so that they could get a better understanding of what they're really getting into when they are agreeing to these humongous student loans. They're, we talk about them being scary. They're perfectly fine because they do help students get through their college, but just putting things into perspective so that they can make that informed decision. This is a great tool because we do have available for it to be printed. But I personally, I'm not very good with math. If you do it online, it is available to compare up to 3 colleges online, and it does the math for the students. So if you are worried about a student, not or a parent not really doing the math, or messing up those numbers, we are human. This is going to be a great tool because the math is done for them. They're able to compare it, and again, they get the bigger picture. They get the 4-year picture if they're putting in 4-year colleges. And then next we have the MAP estimator. If you guys are familiar with the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid, oftentimes when students are completing the FAFSA, at the end of it, they do get to see an estimation if they qualify for Pell. The FAFSA, however, is a federal form. So even if the student may qualify for MAP, they will not see that they qualify for MAP when they are completing the FAFSA. So our map estimator tool online, this is going to be a great tool if you're working with students who they don't know, they're unsure if they want to go out of state for school, or if they want to stay in state. And this is going to be a great tool to let them know, like, hey, if you're going to be staying in state, you might qualify for some MAP money. They're able to enter their EFC. They're able to enter some basic information. It doesn't have to be as extensive as completing the FAFSA. And then once they enter that information in there, they enter the colleges, they can see an estimate of how much money they might be eligible for MAP. Again, this is all done online. So if you're working with a student, you're able to ask them to share their screen and walk them through this process, and then kind of explain to them what it means to stay in state versus going out of state, or stay or attending a school that's a MAP approved school versus attending a school that's not going to be a MAP approved school. All right, and then to get into the ISAC core, this is going to be support directly for your students. The ISAC core, they're recent college graduates who serve as near peer mentors to assist students and families with the college and financial aid process. Even though we are not meeting in person at the moment, they are still available to meet with your students virtually. So they can provide free support for college and career exploration, college and scholarship applications, the FAFSA completion workshops, or financial aid completion workshops, and also college preparation workshops. With everything, if you guys have worked with the ISAC core before and you've requested a presentation from them before, they are still available to do everything virtually. So if you wanted to host a presentation with the ISAC core, you are able to request them to do so, but in the virtual setting. If you want to know, or if you're more interested in having your ISAC core working with your students, but you don't know who your ISAC core member is, you can go into our student portal website. Under ISAC core, you'll be able to find your ISAC core member once you enter your zip code. Thank you, Jasmine. So you're able to find your ISAC core member, their contact information. If they, we do have ISAC core members who are bilingual. So if you're interested in getting a Spanish speaking, for example, a Spanish speaking ISAC core member to work with your Spanish speaking families, you are able to find that information all on our student portal website. And then in addition to being able to reach out to the ISAC core and having them do a presentation or work with your students one-on-one virtually, there are some events open to the public that they are hosting. These are going to be, again, virtual events. If you want to check out our calendar, if you know that your student or your parents, they want to attend a financial aid night or have more information about the college going process, check out their calendar. Is going to be under events on our student portal. Any event that's open to the public is going to appear on there. As you can see, they're hosting one tonight, actually, at 8 p.m. So yeah, check it out continuously, just so you know what events are being open to the public. If you're like, I have one student, I don't think I really want to host a financial aid night for just one student, let me check it out to see if they can attend one that's already being offered. They do have a variety of topics that they talk about, so go ahead and check them out. Just note that registration is required. So even though it is open to the public, it helps us with planning, it helps the ISAC core with planning. Registration will be required for them. All right, now we're going to get into CapEx. This is going to be one of those tools that's already built into our student portal as well, but it can be accessed independently. So with CapEx, what it is, if you guys were ever familiar with College Greenlight, it is College Greenlight, but now it is turning into CapEx. It is a scholarship search engine, but it also does help students with the college search engine as well. It helps students with finding a college, exploring colleges, their college list, and then it goes through their preferences. They get to create a list, and it helps them through the process of thinking or identifying the school they might like to attend or apply to. And then it helps them with everything scholarship related. We're going to be getting into those two individually in a minute. But this is how they would get started. You would know that your students are in the right place if they get the message. If you see the red circle, it says get started with CapEx in partnership with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. If your students access CapEx through the our partnership page, the easiest way to identify that, it's going to be through our student portal website or entering capex.com/ISAC. We highly suggest that if you want your students to join CapEx or to create an account with CapEx, that you guys do so through our partnership. Doing so through our partnership does two things for the students. With our partnership, it eliminates all advertisements, so So even though if you guys are familiar with scholarship search engines, a lot of them do, even though they are free to students, they do see advertisements for the students do see advertisement. And the second thing that it does is that it eliminates all proprietary schools from the students. So proprietary schools won't be reaching out to your students if they are using CapEx for that college search portion of it. So again, the best way to know that they are accessing that with those benefits is going to be to know that they are going through the Illinois Student Assistance Commission partnership. First, we wanted to go through order, but we're gonna get into personal information first. So once you are on the CapEx page, you're gonna notice that on the left-hand side, you're gonna be able to have access to everything, all of the features that CapEx has available to the student. We are going through the personal information just so that you guys get an idea of what information is gonna be asked of the student. It is very basic information. Again, if you work with College Greenlight before, you guys know that they had the more information you added to your profile, the better the college search and the scholarship search would be. For this one, it is very basic information, but it does include information about ethnicity and then even family information. When it's asking for family information, it's literally only asking about the annual family income level. So again, it is getting much easier for the students to create this profile, but the more information that enter into their personal information, the better you'll see some of the results that we'll get into in a minute. Next. As part of the student profile, they will also be asked to enter high school academic information. This is going to be really helpful, especially when we get into the college portion of CapEx, the college search portion of CapEx, because it'll help match students with the right fit school for them. It'll let them know, like, hey, we think that based on your profile, based on your high school academics, that you might be a right fit for this school, or that this school might be a right fit for you. But also it'll help with the scholarship portion of it. If you have a certain ACT score and that's one of the requirements for that scholarship, it'll help match the student with that scholarship as well. Next. So when they first get into the home portion of the control panel, they will see that they'll get a dashboard that's personalized to them. They'll be able to see their college checklist. And then if you can see at the bottom of the screen, it'll match them with colleges. So that's what we meant with personal information. And the more you add to it, the better it'll be, especially with the high school academics. It'll match them with schools based on that information. Next. Then they get to the explore colleges portion of it. On this portion of the dashboard, they'll get to explore colleges by the cost, the majors that they're interested in. They'll get to filter through academics, the campus. And I think one of the things that we often don't focus on is the campus, what is going to be life like, how big is going to be, how big that's going to be. So this is going to be a great tool. The college portion of it is going to be a great tool for students to actually get to explore that and see if it's going to be the right fit for them. They also get to see how well the school meets the financial need of the student. Are they meeting it? Are they meeting it all the way? Are there additional application fees? And one of the really important things that has happened as a result of COVID is it test optional? As you guys know, all of the ACT dates, all of the SAT dates were moved around. Students were having to, or schools were having to change some of those plans for students with testing. So a lot of institutions made as part of their admissions process, they made testing optional. So if this is something that affected your students, they were not able to take that ACT or SAT scores, ACT or SAT test, not score. This is going to be a great tool for them to know, if I don't have this, am I still able to apply to the school? What's going to be something that is very possible for me to do? And then it'll also let them filter out colleges to know if they're HBCUs, or if they're a women's college or a men's college. It lets them know it helps them see or filter out through the student body size, the campus setting. If you are working with students who really want to go to a city school, if they want to go to a bigger school, a smaller school, this will help them sort through that information so that they can find the right match for them. And then once they start to select the colleges that they're interested in, they'll be able to go through their college checklist. But then again, even though they are able to select their own colleges, CAPEX still gives them some suggestions as to, hey, based on this information, based on the schools that you are selecting, we think these are going to be some of the right picks for you. And then as they get through my preference, they are also able to, just so they can better get those preferences or those suggestions from CAPEX, they're able to go through their college type, the cost, how much money are they open to paying for their post-secondary education. They'll get through the size, campus settings, the location, and then majors that they're interested in. Next. All right, and then with FINAID scholarships, this is going to be, I think, even though the college portion of it is really important, I do really love the FINAID scholarship, just because, again, they don't see any advertisement if they're going through our partnership. They're able to see scholarships based on the information that they have entered on their profile, but also they're able to filter out any information through scholarship type, gender, ethnicity, grade level, and more. Once they get to the scholarships, they're able to see all of the information in regards to the scholarship and how to apply for it as well. They're able to see the amounts, how much work they have to put into it, and if it's something that it's a very competitive scholarship or not at all. Next.
So now we will talk about another tool that is on the resource tab of the student portal, and that is the Illinois WorkNet, which helps students explore career, salaries, resumes, jobs, and more career-related topics, which we'll go into depth. So at first, students will want to make their account with Illinois WorkNet by providing their name, email, date of birth, zip code, stuff like that, and make their username and password. There's also a sign up icon at the top corner that they can click to sign up. Once they've created their account, they can log into their account and access these tools and resources on their dashboard. So some of the key tools that we'll highlight today will be the assessment, resume builder, and job finder section. So for the assessment section, they have 5 assessments that students can go through. That includes the career cluster inventory, the interest profiler assessment, work importance locator, lifestyle reality check, and learning style survey. So just very briefly, most of these assessments help students in they ask like the career cluster asks the student 80 questions on whether they like or dislike an activity to help match them with occupations from certain career clusters. And the work importance locator, which I actually really like, it's different. It doesn't ask questions. It's more of like ask the students to sort 20 cards with statements about different aspects of work based on how important that statement on each card is to them and their ideal job. So I definitely highly encourage students or you all to go in and play with these assessments to help students kind of hone in on potential careers or occupations that they may be interested in, would like to further explore. Also the learning style survey, it's really quick, and most of these are pretty quick. They're like 10 to 20-minute assessments. But the learning style survey I found very interesting. It was, it asked the user to rate 24 activities on whether they often, sometimes, or not often like to or need to do things to learn. So if they prefer to read a book rather than hear one, things like that. And once they complete that assessment, it will provide scores for each of the 3 learning styles, so the auditory, tactile, and visual, and it indicates what learning style they prefer, works best for their learning. So yeah, that one's pretty cool as well. Once a student knows what career they would like to pursue, and hopefully these assessments help them narrow down what career or program of study they want to pursue, they'll work towards whichever credential they need to attain the career of their choice. So once they graduate, or even while in high school, they may want to or need to create a resume. So this is where the resume builder comes in. So if a student needs help building a resume, or even professionals, they can go into Resume Builder, of course, through Illinois WorkNet, and they can browse sample resumes to select from to edit with their own information, or they can also build a resume from a combination of different resumes by using the browse section sets option, or they can also create a resume from scratch. And once they have completed editing their resume, they can go ahead and save it to their account, download it as a Word document, or print it. Yeah. Also, good things to know. So in the resume builder section, there are additional tools like the practicing interview skills and creating your cover letter, things like that. But so I encourage you guys to go in there and play with it and check those out. Also, so in Illinois WorkNet, there's also the Job Finder. So this next tool helps students find jobs in Illinois. It filters job opportunities based on the specific city and keeps it within that specific radius that they prefer. If you press advanced search options, you can also filter job opportunities based on job sector, position type. So whether you like a full-time, part-time, or internship opportunity. Also, it filters it by sources, so where that job posting is coming from, either from an employer website or Indeed, things like that. And then once they find a job they're interested in applying, they can click on the job posting and it will direct them to the employer's website or whichever website that is connected to that job posting. So another tool that we recommend in using with students when working with them virtually is the Claim Your Future tool. It is similar to the reality check on Illinois WorkNet, but it is more interactive and engaging and a more visually appealing. I absolutely do love this Claim Your Future tool, especially working with students virtually. It does include data specific to Illinois, so that is another pro. ISAC does have an agreement with Claim Your Future to provide this tool at no cost to anyone who uses the ISAC specific URL that will be in the next slide, so make sure you to write that URL down. The program works great with middle school students, and it can also engage high school students in a discussion about career pathways and post-secondary education options. Claim Your Future is a financial literacy tool that students can play to learn about career, post-secondary credentials, and money management skills. People can play this game either online or in person. Again, the URL to play online is the isac.claimyourfuture.com. But so I'm sure a lot of students are using this virtually. But if for whatever reason you guys are doing hybrid, or you're meeting with students in person, or even post-pandemic, hope we go back in person, there is an option to do it in person. And ISAC does provide the physical game kit at no cost to schools in Illinois. They simply have to request one through the website. So I wanted to mention that in case anyone is meeting with students in person. At the beginning, students will be prompted to choose their career and pretty much navigate the Claim Your Future game. And Claim Your Future does provide additional resources like the printable budget worksheet if you're working with students in person. They use this budget worksheet to work through the game. There's also an educator's guide that includes a detailed lesson plan and homework activities that teachers can assign or work through in the class. There's also a training video that teaches students how to play the game. And this can be shown in the classroom instead of feeling pressured of having to explain it yourself. And also the certificate of completion, which can be provided to students once they complete the activity. If a person decides to play the game online, they will access the game by using the URL below again. It's important for the person to access the game via this URL because the data will be tied to Illinois specific data. The online version does include access to 125 unique career options. To start, they can either click play game that will be front and center, or they can click the play tab that is at the top. I do want to share that if a school wants to play this game in person, they can request a game kit by clicking on the second tab labeled Order Kits. So the kit would include 50 unique career reels. When they click Order Kit, they will be directed to an order form that will ask for the teacher's name, email, school, address, so we know where to ship it, and the quantity of kits they would like ISAC to send to them. And then the next tab, so the resource tab, gives a teacher or game facilitator access to the educator guide that I mentioned earlier, where there's those classroom activities and the printable budget worksheet. Again, that's if you're planning to play online. Now, the last two tabs players will see on the site is About and Contact. These tabs include general information about the game and ISAC's outreach contact information in case anyone would like ISAC outreach staff, like the ISAC Core, to help facilitate the game in their classroom. So now let's go into the online version of the game. I'm always like really happy about talking Claim Your Future because I absolutely love it. So once a student selects play, they will be directed to they will direct the player to this screen. Here, students can select if they are a returning player or a new player. If they are a returning player, they will need to provide their game ID. If a student is a new player, they can select their grade level. And if they are completing this game as a classroom assignment, they will be asked to provide their state, city, or town of their school. And then they'll select their school. Once they select their school, they can also include the teacher's last name. So once they provide that information, they can go ahead and click Start. And so the next item students will see is a pre-assessment. It is good to know that if the player indicates that they are not playing the game for a classroom assignment, they will not automatically be prompted to the pre-assessment. They will have the option to skip the pre-assessment and go directly to playing the game. And so the pre-assessment will allow students to test their knowledge about college, career, and money management through a series of 15 questions. The questions will cover topics such as post-secondary options, career, financial goals, salaries, needs versus wants, and a number of questions around that. Once they've completed the pre-assessment, the student will receive a unique game account ID. They're able to use the game ID as a returning user. So we recommend that a student record and keep their ID in a secured place and retrieve it if they ever need to go back to the game. If a student was unable to finish the game in one sitting, they can always go back and finish playing it at a later time using their game ID. So once the student has secured their game ID, they will be able to see their career and college page. This will be randomly selected for them at first, but if they would like to change their career, they can use the drop-down menu on the left side of the screen to select a different career option. After deciding on a career, they will see the dollar amount for the annual and monthly income, as well as the education level requirement. Here, students can play with the different career options to see what their possible monthly income and educational level requirement would be if they pursued that career. Once the student picks their career, the next section will be savings. And a brief description will appear letting the student know that 10% of their funds has been placed aside to cover emergencies, unexpected emergency expenses. As adults, that always comes up. And this is a great opportunity to have a conversation with students on saving a certain percent of their budget for emergencies that may come up as adults, responsible adults. Things that you can talk to students about are things like, why should one save? What is an emergency fund? What funds do you live off of when you retire? Things that most students do not necessarily think of. So I really like that they prompt like, hey, saving is important. I do want to point out that on the left-hand side, students will have a reminder of their annual and monthly income as well as the education level needed for their specific career choice. They will also see their monthly income at the top of the page. So this will always appear at every single page. So now they can select choose housing. And the next section will be housing. So here, students will have 4 options to choose from. Options will range from being the least expensive to being the most expensive option available. Here, students can either pick to live with parents, rent with roommate, rent on their own, or own a home. As students are making their selection through the game, a brief description will appear detailing what that option consists of. So for example, in this case, the student selected rent with roommate, which says it would be around $450, and the description states that the option allows you to share space, rent, and utility cost with a roommate. Um, when the student decides on their option, it is good to note that it is good to ask them to pay attention to how much funds they have remaining, which will be at the top right corner of the screen. It's also good to remind them to keep in mind how many more lifestyle decisions they still need to make in the game. The next section will be food. Here, a student can choose from basic food, which would consist of like bread, milk, cheese, eggs, the basics. Average, which then throws in vegetable and beefs. Organic, we know how organic can be a little pricey. And then gourmet. So once the student makes their selection, they'll click on choose transportation. And then the next section will be transportation. As you can see, the remaining funds got smaller to account for the food option that was chosen. You can see that on the top right corner. So here for the transportation section, students can choose from public transportation, low cost used car, mid cost used car, new car, or luxurious sports car. Once they make their selection, they can go ahead and click choose communications. Again, the remaining funds got smaller to account for the transportation option that was chosen. So this section, the communication section, here students have the options of choosing whether they'll communicate with people through cell phone or cell phone and landline that is wired to your home, which most people don't usually do anymore. Anyways, cell phone and internet, and landline. Once they have selected the communication option, they can click choose extras. I do want to note that there is also a bar at the top that shows students how much of their monthly income is being spent on each living expense. So this will continue to grow as I progress in the game. As you can see, the remaining funds are even smaller to account for the communication option that was chosen, and the remaining balance is $699 in this case. So this is what the student has to spend on extras. Here, students can select as many extra items as they would like, which could be personal care, cable, video games, clothing, concerts, pets, meals out, and charity. As long as they still have remaining funds, the student can pick as many extras as they'd like. If a student wants to select a specific item but doesn't have enough funds remaining, they will receive an alert letting them know that they do not have enough funds, and it's recommended that they go back and see if they can lower any of their previous expenses. Again, this is a great opportunity to have a conversation with students about what is needs versus what is wants. Once they complete this section, they can click on finish. So once they click on finish, their final budget will appear and include all their selections and expenses. Students will also see the total funds remaining at the top. If students' remaining funds are low, it will change to an orange color with a warning sign next to it to show that their remaining funds are running low. Students can either download their budget as a PDF, print it, start the game all over, or log out and come back to it with their game ID. As students complete the game, it's beneficial to have conversations around wants versus needs, having more responsibility as an adult, attaining a career and post-secondary credential, and overall any insights that they gained through the tool. Hopefully by the end of the game, students may have a better understanding of how college, career, and money management works hand in hand. There's another virtual resource available at no cost through ISAC Student Portal under the resource tab that we want to quickly mention. Some of these tools are, there is the Illinois College to Career virtual tool that allows students to search colleges in Illinois based on whether they are interested in 2 or 4-year colleges and their plan of study. It will then provide a drop-down menu of Illinois colleges to choose from that correlate to their plan of study and the type of college they want to attend. It will show the student what the tuition and fees would be at that school, the average student debt of students from that school, the average earnings of people in Illinois who pursued that specific program at that college, as well as overall the state, and the percent of earning growth for people who pursued that program at that college. I find this data very, very informative for students, so they know like, hey, I'm comparing some colleges side by side, and I'm interested to see the average student debt. Like that's a great thing to think about. Overall, this tool allows you to explore different programs in different Illinois colleges to compare cost, potential student debt, and potential earnings. It's good to know that this website can be fully translated to Spanish, so it can be used with Spanish-speaking families and students, and does provide a tutorial on how to use the website. The last tool we will talk about is a FAFSA forecaster. Many students are scared or hesitant when they complete the FAFSA for the first time, and the U.S. Department of Education has this tool that allows one to essentially complete a FAFSA without actually submitting one or it being linked to their account. It allows a student to complete a mock FAFSA to estimate their eligibility for federal student aid, which include the Pell, the work study program, and student loans. This may help students feel at ease, knowing that they have an idea of what it looks like, what information the FAFSA asks for, and that they've already done a dry run of completing one, so they might not be as nervous when completing the real one and bringing that information and having these discussions with their parents. I found this tool very helpful with students and families to kind of be less stressed during the FAFSA completion process. Now that we've gone through a number of tools that you can add into your toolbox, what is one tool you'll be adding to your toolbox to use from today's session? Go ahead and please insert a tool that you found very interesting or beneficial that you can use with your students. Please go ahead and put that in the chat. We're curious to learn what tools you will be adding into your toolbox. I have Jan talking about Claim Your Future. I see a lot of shout outs for Claim Your Future. I love it. That's awesome. Especially like working with students virtually, it's so hard to make things sometimes engaging and fun. So that's really, really great. Super excited to dig into the Illinois WorkNet features. Yes, Illinois WorkNet has so much stuff. It is so great, especially with building resume. Students sometimes, I remember building a resume. I didn't know where to start. Like, it's great to use their templates. CapEx, yes, scholarships are huge. So having a scholarship search engine is great. And I want to remind you all of these tools are at no cost to students and communities in Illinois. So I highly encourage you all to take advantage of these free, no cost tools. Yeah, it's great. And ISAC has agreements with them, so you guys don't have to worry about the ads. And it always has like, these tools have Illinois specific data and information. So it's really great. We definitely want to connect students to these tools. I do want to mention that here is our contact information. So if you have any questions on any of the tools or resources that we talked about today, please reach out to us. Our contact information is on the screen, and the recording will also be available on the 60x25 conference website. So you can always go back and rewatch it. Or you can share it with your colleagues as well. If you like, oh, wow, I really like this tool. I want to just send them the recording or guide them to the recording. You could go ahead and do that. I do want to thank you. We do want to thank you for spending time out of your day and attending the 60x25 conference and attending our session on virtual tools to engage students, parents, and partners. Thank you all for joining us. I'm sure people are back-to-back meetings, so I'm really glad that you guys were able to join us.